every family has their own unique stories to share, no matter their background or experiences. Studies suggest that hearing about the challenges faced by family members can be a valuable learning experience for children and teenagers. Are you telling and recording your family stories? If not, there's help. Howdy. If you're new here, I'm Devin Noel Lee, and I love inspiring you to write your family history easily. I recently talked with Brenda Hudson with VoiceFly, who loves helping families capture their stories. In today's video, Brenda shares a message you need to hear about your role in sharing the family narrative. Stick around. I think you're going to be encouraged.
Because when that happens, honestly, I feel like that's when the magic happens.
Howdy, Brenda. I'm so excited to talk to you today. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me here.
It is my pleasure. I really enjoyed your talk at Roots Tech, and we're going to talk a little bit about that later on. And so I reached out and you said, sure, I'll come on your new channel. And so we are finally together. So it's exciting to be here today. So Brenda, why don't you tell us a little bit about your approach to writing and storytelling when it comes to our family stories?
Yeah, well, I like to be really encouraging because I think we are all storytellers, whether we think so ourselves or not. For instance, we all are used to telling our stories around the dinner table or out with friends. So I like to think that, telling our stories this way is just doing that, but getting it down on the page. And so when we are writing our stories, I like us to think about perhaps we're telling these stories to a loving relative, someone who wants to hear our stories. And then my other approach is kind of like less is more. Don't feel like you have to get it all down or write this huge book-length single voice narrative. I'm all about capturing these little vignettes in our lives. So vignette, really like a short piece. It might even be a paragraph or two. Those kind of stories that we're used to telling. Get those down, and then you can follow the thread of the kinds of stories that you want to tell and build up a collection. And so just by writing in short bursts of time, following your train of thought as if you're talking to someone who's supportive, it's really quick and easy to get some of our stories down.
Awesome. So I am a scrapbooker, and when I hear these vignettes or short stories, or I think of little scraps of text that would go on a page. Often you can't fill a whole page of a scrapbook page with pictures and a little bit of decoration with long, lengthy stories. It is brief. So it's almost like scrapbooking without the book creative part of the scrapbook.
I like that. Yes. Yeah. Scrapbooking. Mm-hmm.
So scrap writing. We'll have to coin up a new term. Maybe those people who are watching this video can come up with something like that. Tell me, when did you get started writing your family stories?
Wow. Kind of late because, growing up, I was not really that bothered about my family history. Probably pretty common, I'm sure.
Honesty. I love it.
Yeah. Until I had my own family, which started a bit late in my life. So then I got more and more curious. And of course, my parents were that much older and now they're gone. So there were stories that I wish I had asked about. So I did, but I've always been interested in writing. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't until I really started to kind of write in the spaces and the time frames that I had with my busy life, raising a family, working. And so there would be a snippet of time and I would just take a prompt or something that was buzzing around in my head and put that down and just go. Like sometimes I would just set a timer for 15 minutes and follow my train of thought and not stop writing, not editing as I went along, and just seeing what came up. And I started with those stories that were familiar to me. They were almost like writing warm-ups for me. So the stories that, my family would share whenever we'd get around the table and reminiscing, and it felt like that was an easy way in. Also, I realized it's kind of a false sense of security that those stories so well orally. But what happens, I need to get them down. So that was a really fun way to start. And then it grew from that, really.
Nice, nice. Now, as I said earlier, you presented a workshop at Roots Tech,
Mhm.
writing family stories in 30 minutes or less. So, talk to me about the concept of writing family stories or less. I heard things like a timer.
Mhm.
What other tips do you have for that?
Yeah, kind of like I was just saying,
Mhm.
start. So I like to provide structure and pacing.
Okay.
So instead of coming to the page or the screen, if you're writing on the computer, blank,
Hmm.
not quite sure what you're going to write about or for how long, instead come with an idea
Okay.
or a prompt. What is it that you want to write about? And a big topic like my family, that's too large. So
For
kind of
sure.
break it down. And honestly, set a timer and play with the length of time that you have. So a 5-minute write will be different, obviously, from a 15-minute write or a 30-minute write, but just start there, set the timer, and then again, just keep going and
Mhm.
follow your train of thought, even if it seems like your brain is taking you somewhere that is nothing to do with this prompt that you had.
Mhm.
Because when that happens, honestly, like I feel like that's when the magic happens because
True.
your brain is taking you somewhere you probably need to go or somewhere you wouldn't think of if you were trying to write it as you're and edit as you go along because you think you know where you're going. So it's actually kind of freeing to write in this way.
I like that. I was so many thoughts are going through my head and what you just said. The last point is that, the tangents and the magic happen.
Yeah.
For me, I don't know if this is gender specific, but whenever I get around my girlfriends, especially the talkers, we start in one spot and we end in something completely different. And we had the best time ever sharing all these different stories. And I would never look back at that conversation and said, why didn't we stay on one topic?
Right,
Although
right.
my husband, it drives him nuts, and I now have to do these warnings. Tangent time, and then
Oh,
go to
got it.
tangent. Tangent time, and go to tangent. So maybe in our writing, we need to, if that's how you normally converse, is to go ahead and allow for the tangents, even if you need to write tangent time.
Yes, right. Warning.
Now, in our writing block, another thought I had was a lot of people feel that they can't write and that the act of writing becomes a
Mhm.
problem. What suggestions do you have? I've shared some on my channel. I want to see if we align or if you maybe have a different strategy. So for people who say, I can't write or I don't like the way I sound or all those writing stopping thoughts, what do you say?
Well, I think we talked about some of them already, but just to really reinforce, remember we all are storytellers and we all tell stories. We tell stories all the time.
Mhm.
Just think of yourself sitting around a table and you're telling, even if you envision your future generations, um, wouldn't they want to hear? They want to hear your stories. So just remember that you have a vested audience already. This
Mhm.
is not you're not writing to your 12th grade English teacher.
Oh, good.
So, so yeah, just embrace what you have to say. And then I really do think that starting with a prompt and going against the clock, like knowing that you don't have much time, you've
Mhm.
got 15 minutes and you're not editing, you don't have to be worried about writing the most beautiful sentences.
Mhm.
Um, write as if you're talking is
Okay.
is it, are my main tips. Mhm.
Those are your main tips. Those are fantastic tips, and I know I've shared some of those on the channel here. Are you a believer now? Do you feel inspired to capture your family stories? Let me know what you think by liking this video and leaving a comment that you'd like Brenda or other genealogy writing educators to answer in the future. Until next time, know that you can write your family histories. And if you need more tips and tricks on how to do that, check out the video right up here.